Good afternoon. I'm Brian Manning, and this is the Asylum Answers Show. TikTok, how are you? YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, what's going on? I'm Brian Manning, and my law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers. We help immigrants all over the United States to secure their future in America through asylum. I'm going to take your questions. Let's talk about asylum in the United States. Let me know in the comments what questions you have. First of all, though, say hello. Let me hear in the comments from you. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to hear where you guys are when we have these conversations. So this is the Asylum Answers Show. Brian Manning. My law firm is based in Texas, but we help immigrants all over the country. It doesn't matter where you are. If you've got an asylum case or you're interested in applying for asylum, we should talk. We help people all over the country. I'm going to take your questions, but I want to say a few words. First of all, say hello. Let me hear from you. Let me hear where you're at. We got St. Fort Fritznell says hello over on Facebook. All right. We got some YouTube action saying hello, Brian. TikTok, there you are. I see you, TikTok. By the way, before we really get started, let me just say, if you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn or TikTok, do yourself a favor. If you really want to get all the best help there is to possibly get in asylum in the United States, go over to my YouTube channel, okay? That's where I've got all of my best stuff. A bunch of really detailed trainings about how to win asylum in the United States. So go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers. That's the name of my law firm, and it's the name of my YouTube channel, Political Asylum Lawyers. And if you want to get the really, really detailed trainings, like where I go into depth about all kinds of things, from the beginning, from the application, all the way to like submitting a supplemental filing of the actual documents that you should be submitting in support of your asylum case, and then preparing for your interview or court hearing and what happens at it, all that stuff. I've got really detailed trainings about that stuff in a playlist. It's called something like full-length asylum trainings, I believe is what the playlist is called. Go to YouTube, look for Political Asylum Lawyers, and look for this playlist called Full-Length Asylum Training. That's where my best stuff is, all right? But let's do your questions. Before that, I wanted to say a couple words about this. We got Badru, my friend Badru. Always good to see you, Badru. Badru, let's, in a few minutes, when I talk about mandamus and all the other things and the things that we can do to help people win their case, I want you to chime in, Badru, and tell them how great it is, okay? I can always count on Badru for that, to back me up. Hello from Angola in New York. Oh, that's nice. I have not been to Angola. I've been close, but I've read a lot about it I've read a lot about Central Africa and the Democratic Republic of Congo especially, and I know that Angola's history is recent history especially is intertwined in a lot of ways with the DRC. A lot of mutual effects from things that have gone on in those two countries with each other. Cool. Assad says hello on YouTube. We've got, please check your Oh no. Patience says, please check your Telegram. I sent you a message. Red alert, warning. That's not me. That's a fake. That's a fraud. That's an imposter. I don't have a Telegram channel. So on TikTok, I don't think I've seen this I don't think it's happening on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, but on TikTok, we've got a problem. There's an imposter who is creating names similar to my username, my handle on TikTok, and has my picture, copied my picture. And they're commenting on posts and saying, message me on Telegram. And then they're trying to get people to pay to set up like consultations. And then I think they're not doing consultations because it's not a real immigration lawyer. So it's a fraud. Patience. Don't engage with the person on TikTok. We've reported it 1,000 times. They just keep creating new profiles on TikTok that are a little bit different in the names. Do not engage with someone that you think might be me on Telegram. I'm not doing Telegram. My law firm does not do Telegram. We've got Mutakirwa Prudent says on YouTube, I only talk to you on WhatsApp. Great. Yeah, we do have a WhatsApp. But really, guys, listen. The best way to reach out to us if you want to talk with us about your situation, whether you're thinking about applying for asylum, you've already applied, you've got a hearing coming up, you've got an interview coming up, any of that stuff. The best way, if you want to get our attention and really have us look at your situation and see if we can help you, here's what I want you to do. or when you go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, winasylum.com. Okay, once you get there, it's super easy. For those of you on YouTube and LinkedIn, you're going to see it on your screen right now. It looks like this. On your mobile, it's super easy to schedule this consultation with us. We call it an asylum strategy session. It's where we're going to talk with you and explore your case and your circumstances and understand your situation and tell you whether we think we can help you. And if so, we're going to tell you concretely what we're going to do to help you, like what actual steps we're going to take to help you, okay? So go to winasylum.com. That's where you can easily, quickly book a consultation with one of our asylum professionals, all right? All right. I wanted to say a couple words. Go ahead and start leaving your questions, by the way. Leave your questions in the comment box, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Please leave your questions. I'm going to get to them in 1 second, but I wanted to say this first. I've got this question twice in the last week, so I wanted to address it here. The question is, can you do your USCIS asylum interview by video conference? Is it possible to do your asylum interview remotely, right? Virtually by video conference, like WebEx or Google Meet or whatever, the software may be? The answer is no. Okay. In the deportation proceedings context over in immigration court, it's true. They do sometimes hold their hearings by video conference. They use WebEx. Sometimes the letter that you get from the court that says, hey, your hearing's been scheduled, the hearing is going to take place by WebEx. It will have a link that you use to click on to access the video conference room at the time of your hearing. And you don't really have a choice. I mean, if they say it's by WebEx, it's by WebEx. It's not in person. Don't go to the court in person. You're going to do it by video conference. Actually, though, if the norm, the default is in person, but if you want to do it by video conference, you can ask. You can make a motion to ask the judge to do it by video conference. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. But asylum office, nope, not like that. Asylum office does not do asylum interviews by video conference or telephone or any other remote means. It's all in person. You have to go in person to the USCIS asylum office for your asylum interview. There's no option. They don't make exceptions. I don't know if they ever will. They're way behind the times. Other entities like the courts, immigration courts, and U.S. federal courts and state courts in the United States, lots of states do virtual hearings right through video conference. USCIS is just way behind the times and on technology and the like, and they're unlikely to do this anytime soon, to change to allow WebEx or other video conference anytime soon. So don't count on it. All right. Now, it is true that your attorney actually can participate virtually. Your lawyer can ask for permission from the asylum office to do the interview, to represent you virtually by video conference. Sometimes they allow, or more commonly by telephone. But you as the applicant and your family, any dependents in your case, you guys do have to show up in person for your asylum interview. All right. No video conference asylum interviews. All right, let's see what's going on. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. We got New York, got a couple of New Yorkers. We got Massachusetts. We've got Eddie says hello from Ohio. Interesting. Okay, let's see what Asad Khan says. If my online case status changes from decisions pending to decision was mailed, is it a denial? I heard that fees are waived should it appear first time before decision was mailed. I waited 9 years. So let's address the first question. If you look at your USCIS online case status and you notice that it has changed from a decision pending to a decision has been mailed, is that a good sign, a bad sign? What does that mean? Well, it just means that a decision has in fact been made and been sent to you in the mail. So you should be getting your actual decision letter in the mail any day now. If you see that, right? It means it's been mailed, and it can take the mail 3 to 6 or 7 days even sometimes to get to you. So it should be soon. But can you draw anything from that? Like the fact that does it mean anything in terms of, what the outcome is going to be? Is it likely you're going to be denied or approved? No, it doesn't mean anything substantively. There's no way to gauge what the decision is going to be based on this information. Okay. So yeah, you're going to get the decision, but we don't know what it is. Good luck to you on that decision that's coming in the mail very soon for you. I should add though that sometimes they're just wrong. Sometimes this information is just simply incorrect. So don't get your hopes up too high, okay? The fact that it says it's been mailed probably has, But we have seen cases where it changes to that and it hasn't been mailed. And we've, called and actually followed up and they're like, no, it's still pending. I don't know why it says that. So they make mistakes all the time, and including with these online status changes. So, man, how can I, so anyway, that's how it works. All right, man, I'm using a new software for this live and I don't know how to show this on the, I don't know if I can show this on the screen. I wish I could, because it's very nice of Badru to post this. On YouTube, Badru says, I can't thank you enough for helping me win my asylum case. Mandamus is the only solution for delayed cases. The government responded after 45 days and my interview was scheduled a month after. So thank you, Badru. Thank you first of all for your confidence in us and letting us support you in your case. Congratulations again on winning your asylum case. So what Badru is saying here in his comment is he's talking about the fact that there's two things that he did that helped him. He sued the government to force him to give his interview. He had been waiting for multiple years on his asylum interview, and he asked for it. He asked for it repeatedly. He said, please give me my interview. And they said no. And so he sued the government. And as a result of that, the government lawyers said, oh, we don't want to fight this case. Badru, if you'll agree to eventually dismiss the lawsuit against us in federal court, we'll give you your interview and we'll give you your decision soon. Okay. Is that okay? And Badru said yes. So he got his interview very quickly and he won his asylum case. We helped Badru to put together a strong case in writing. And Badru had applied for asylum years ago, right? And he just hired us pretty recently, well after he applied. And you might be thinking, okay, well, does it make sense even to hire a lawyer after you've already applied, right? Because you already submitted the application. What else do you need? Okay, there's a lot. There's a lot that we can still do to help you, even though you've already applied for asylum. There's 3 main steps that we did with Badru and that we do with all of our clients that come to us after they've already applied for asylum. And this is both at the asylum office, but also for people who are in immigration court. 3 steps. Supplemental filing. First of all, we are going to create a packet that we're going to submit to the asylum office or to the court to provide a roadmap, an asylum roadmap that shows the officer or the judge how to get to the answer yes in your case in the easiest way possible. It consists of a declaration from you, evidence that we're gonna work on both those things together, your declaration and getting evidence, and then a legal brief that my office writes where we explain your case. We apply the facts of your case to the law to show how you meet all the requirements for asylum, okay? The idea is when you walk into your asylum interview or your immigration court hearing, we want that officer or judge to already be thinking, hey, okay, based on the documents, based on this filing from the lawyer, I can already see how this person meets all the requirements for asylum. I can see that they should win their case. As long as they show up here and say things that line up with what's in the documents, yeah, I get it. I see how they should get asylum. That's what we want to establish ahead of time in the officer or judge's mind before you ever set foot for your hearing or interview in that room, okay? The second thing is preparation. We're going to prepare. We're going to do an intensive, full-scale mock interview where you're going to practice everything that you'll experience on the day of the real interview. And this is important because the interview is hard. It's much harder than you expect, okay? You see, the officer doesn't just sort of let you explain yourself and tell your story. Rather, they're going to ask you question after question after question. They're constantly interrupting you. They're changing topics frequently. And the truth is, many of them are anti-immigrant and they're just looking for excuses to deny people. But with the proper practice, you can go into the real interview with confidence, ready to do a good job and tell your story in an impactful way and minimize potential errors or problems, okay? Because you already know what kind of questions you're going to get. You know what it feels like to be in this position. You know what the different procedures are for the day. All this is going to help you to do better. And then third, we're going to represent you. We're going to represent you during your hearing or interview and ensure the officer or judge understands your case, that they understand how you meet the requirements and ensure that your rights are protected. So that's what we did for Badru. And he sued the government. He got his interview and he won his asylum case. And now he's an asylee. And now he's going to be applying for permanent residency. And then he's going to be applying for U.S. citizenship, okay? It's a long road. It's not an easy road. It requires work. It requires hard work on your part in addition to your lawyer's part. But working together and with us both working hard, I think we can help you increase your chances for success significantly. Let's get to the questions. Sorry for the long monologue. When Badru says something like that, it gets me excited, and it makes me just want to remind everyone that there's a lot we can still do, even if you've already applied for asylum. All right. this is interesting on TikTok. Happy says, if an asylum applicant has a fiance in a different country, how can he bring her to the US? Good question. Thank you. So the question is, if you've got a fiance, or same thing works for a family member, right? Like a spouse or a child, and you are applying for asylum in the United States. Your case is pending. You're waiting, right? You're waiting to have your asylum interview at a USCIS asylum office. Can you somehow bring this fiance or this family member to the United States? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. There's no mechanism by which you can ask to have them brought here based on your pending asylum application or your sort of status as an asylum seeker. There just doesn't exist any kind of visa for this. There's no petition for this. It's just not a thing. And if your fiance or spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, if they apply for a visa to come to the United States, like a tourist visa, they may be denied because actually of your situation, because you have indicated that you want to stay here permanently, basically by applying for asylum. And so if the visa officer at the embassy or consulate, if they know about this, that you've applied for asylum, if your fiance goes to the visa interview and says, yeah, I want to go be with my fiance who has been in the US for 3 years, he's pending asylum, there's a good chance they'll get denied, because the officer will go, the visa officer will say, you probably just want to go and stay with him. I don't believe that you're going to go visit for tourism and then come back when you're supposed to. So it's a tough spot. All right. It's a tough spot. I'm really sorry that there's no mechanism to help you here. Once you do end up winning your asylum case, well, then there's a way to bring someone here, but not your fiance, not your fiance. You'd have to get married, and you'd have to get married before you win asylum. And you'd have to actually amend your asylum application before you get that grant of asylum to indicate that, yes, I'm married to this person. Okay. But then if you do that and then you win asylum, then you can do a petition called a Form I-730 to bring that person to the United States on the basis of your asylee status. But it takes a long time. Last I checked a few weeks or maybe a month or so ago, the wait time on average for USCIS to adjudicate this petition, to make a decision, was something like 1.5 years. So it takes a long time, unfortunately. All right. But thanks for asking. Sorry, there's not a better answer. All right. Follow up. You said, so can we get married in the US as well? Yeah. If your fiance comes to the United States and you get married here, then you can add them. You can amend your asylum application. You can add them as a dependent in your asylum application. And that means that when you win asylum, they automatically at that same time get asylum status as well. If you want to talk about your situation, let us know what's going on and see if we can help you. Give us a call. That number is 713-909-0401. All right. TikTok, you can't see it on the screen, but it's showing up on elsewhere. It's 713-909-0401. If you go to my profile on any of the platforms, you're going to see this telephone number where you can reach us to schedule a consultation. Go ahead and do it now. I think there's still some spots open for next week where we're trying to add more asylum professionals so that we can do more consultations to be able to serve more people. But they fill up fast. And I think there's some availability for some slots next week. So take advantage, call us today to get on our schedule for next week so we can get started, so we can talk and see if we can help you. Okay, 713-909-0401. All right, let's see what we've got. So Eddie on YouTube says, my wife was not in my initial application because she did not want for personal reasons. Can she be added at a later date before the interview? Thank you for the question, Eddie. I appreciate it. So the question is, if you did not include your spouse in your asylum application, can you go back and add them later? So for example, this person asking this question says, my spouse just didn't want to be included for personal reasons. Is it too late to go back and add her now? Can I do that? The answer is, yeah, you can go back and do that. You can amend your application to include your spouse. Now, I don't know whether you actually listed her name, like said, yes, I'm married, and listed her data, but then said, check the box for no, to say, no, I do not want her to be included in this application. Either way, though, even if you didn't list her data at all for some reason, you can still go back and add it now, which I should say, though, you should list your spouse your spouse's information as well as the information of your children. Even if they don't want to be dependents in the case, they don't want to be included in the case, you just mark the box for no. The question at the bottom of their data part of your application, it says, do you want this person to be included in your application? You can just say no, but you are supposed to list the information for any spouse or children. So I do encourage you to do that, even if they don't want to be included as a dependent as part of your asylum application. Okay, that's what I think. All right. Assad Khan says, Badru, brother, which asylum office? Badru, I can't remember. You were Los Angeles, right, Badru? I think Badru is Los Angeles. Badru, let us know. Confirm that. I kind of forgot all of a sudden. All right. So Berahi says on YouTube, hello, Brian. Can country of origin nationality affect the asylum case? Does USCIS have a percentage per country, or does it just depend on one's personal case? Oh, that's a good question. Thank you for asking it. So the question is, does the country that you're from matter to your asylum case in terms of like your chances, right? The winning percentage. Are certain people from more likely to win just because they're from a certain country? Like, do people from a certain country tend to have a higher approval rate than people from certain other countries? And the answer is, well, yeah, it affects it in multiple ways. Like your country affects your chances for asylum success. Because what's going on in your country obviously can impact your asylum case. And so countries where the asylum officer knows that things are really bad, there's a lot of persecution of the kind that you fear going on. Well, yeah, I mean, that helps your asylum case. But also I can say that, yeah, your country does affect you in sort of non-official ways, which is to say psychologically, in the officer's mind, there's a lot of bias at USCIS, at the asylum offices, and I would say there's even a lot of racism, such that people from the Middle East and from Africa and from South Asia have a hard time winning asylum. The approval rates tend to be lower, and I think there's a massive bias against people from those countries. When an asylum officer picks up a case file and they see that it's from, for example, Nigeria or India, they go, this is probably fake, it's probably fraud. Yeah, it's true. There's a bias against people from certain countries. Those are two of them that I just mentioned. There's a big bias against those. So basically, if you're from the Middle East, Africa, or South Asia, you're going into your asylum interview with a strike against you. You've got a hurdle to overcome that other people don't have to overcome, because there's a good chance that the officer is going to be just biased against you just because of your country. So you gotta do extra work to put together an especially strong case and be especially prepared for your asylum interview or your court hearing where you explain your case. The court hearing called the individual hearing. Okay. Oh, nice. Let's see. Being human on TikTok says that wasn't you. My friend is 8 years to come here. Can he file asylum? Wait. Oh, your friend's lived here for 8 years. Can they file for asylum? Good question. Thanks. So the question is, can you file for asylum in the United States if you've already been here for a long time, like several years? Well, so remember, as a starting point, we have to take into account the 1 year filing deadline, right? Most people will have heard that you're supposed to file your asylum application during your first year in the United States. If you don't do that, you get denied unless you qualify for an exception to the 1 year filing deadline. There's two categories of exceptions called changed circumstances and extraordinary circumstances. For someone who's been here for several years, unless they've maintained status the whole time, like for example, maybe a student status that you came with and you've had it for years, apart from that, you're probably looking at as having your best bet, your best argument for an exception be what's called changed circumstances, which means like if something has changed such that in the past you didn't really need asylum, but now you really need it. Now there's a real threat against you, or now something has changed that puts you at risk. Even if you had trouble in the past or you were at risk in the past, you can still qualify for this exception of changed circumstances if you can show that it's just even much worse now. You're at even greater risk, or it is increased in intensity or likelihood that you'll be persecuted. This is tricky though. I really encourage anyone who's been here for more than a year to talk with an asylum lawyer before filing your asylum application to see whether there's a realistic chance that you could qualify for an exception to the 1-year filing deadline. Okay. So this is interesting. Dave says on TikTok, I filed my mandamus on USCIS last week for asylum interview. How much time for response? Good question. Thank you. So the question is, if you sue the government in a mandamus lawsuit to force your asylum interview, how long are you going to have to wait to actually get that interview after you file this mandamus lawsuit? It depends, of course. There's no set time frame that you can just say, oh, you're going to get your interview in X days or weeks or months. I can tell you, though, we've been doing this a lot in the last year or so. And I would say on average, from the time that we file a lawsuit, most of our clients are probably getting their interview 3.5, maybe 4 months, probably, let's say 3.5, probably on average, 3.5 months after filing the lawsuit. Okay. Because there's some back and forth with the court. There's negotiation and back and forth with the lawyer for the government. And then there's the scheduling of the interview. And usually there's a few weeks or maybe even a month between the getting the interview notice and actually having the interview. So it's usually 2, 3, 4 months. Sometimes it's quicker though. We have had clients get their interview like a week and a half after filing the lawsuit. So you never know. You got to be ready. Okay. I hope that you, the person who asked this question, I hope that you have all of your documents in order. I hope you've already done a supplemental filing and that you've already got an asylum lawyer who is ready to do a practice interview with you and a follow-up session and to really help prepare you right away when you get that interview notice, because you could get it very soon. So congratulations on taking that step and good luck. Good. Thank you for asking that. Okay, so this is interesting. Deepak on YouTube says, hello, if there's a witness, is an affidavit enough, or should he give a statement on a video call in front of the judge? So thank you for the question. So the question is, if there's someone who is a witness in your case, like they have personal knowledge of something that happened that's relevant to your case. Maybe they saw you get attacked, or they actually heard threats against you, something that's important to your case that you want the judge or the asylum officer to know about. How do you get them to express this to the judge or the asylum officer? Can they just write a statement, a letter, like a declaration explaining it? Or do they need to actually testify, whether that's in person if they're here, or by maybe video conference or telephone if they're out of the country? The answer is, at the asylum office, just a statement, just a declaration. Officers are not prepared for people to try to bring in witnesses by video conference or telephone. It's just not a thing that they really deal with at the asylum office. In immigration court, it's a little bit different. In the immigration court, witnesses do sometimes appear by video conference or telephone. So I think it's something that if you're in immigration court, I think you should talk with your lawyer about how best to proceed, about whether you should try to have this person do their testimony by video conference or telephone, in addition to writing a statement. I think they should do a declaration. The question, though, is, do you also want to try to have them do it by video conference or possibly telephone? The answer is, it can be a bit tricky. I think you should talk with your asylum lawyer about that specific nuance. Okay. They're very kind. Nikolai says, Brian's team is the best. They're currently helping me with my case. Thank you for the vote of confidence, Nikolai. Very kind of you to mention that. I appreciate that. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to serve you, Nikolai. Thank you for the opportunity. All right. Let's go to TikTok. Okay, so God is good on TikTok says, my court canceled my master hearing and it transferred it straight to an individual hearing. Is that a bad sign? All right, so thank you for the question. The question is, what does it mean if your master calendar hearing in immigration court gets canceled and instead they just go ahead and schedule the individual hearing? Is that a good thing, a bad thing? Why does it happen? So it's definitely not a bad thing. I think it's usually a good thing. So remember, there's usually 2 hearings in court. The first is called a master calendar hearing. Weird name, I know. That one's basically administrative in nature, okay? It's not where you actually fight and explain your case. Usually nothing important happens at it. However, sometimes things crop up. So you do still need a lawyer for it. You definitely want to have a lawyer for it. But sometimes they get canceled. Like if the judge sees that there's a lawyer on the case, often the judge will just cancel it and say, oh, we don't need to have this. We don't need to take the time for everyone to come in here and deal with this when we can just have the lawyer do in writing what we would normally do in person that day. And so that happens often. We usually actually ask the judge to cancel that first one because it's just not important. It's not necessary. And as a general rule, we think the sooner that you have your asylum case heard, that you actually present the case, the better for your chances for success. So we usually want to get that first one, the master calendar hearing, canceled so we can move things forward and get straight to the individual hearing as soon as possible. So I tend to think it's a good thing. There could be exceptions where it's like, no, we actually need to have this master calendar hearing. But generally, no, I think it's a good thing to get it canceled and go straight to your individual hearing. So that's good for you. Isa says, excellent. It's not Isa, sorry, Laura Rodriguez. What are you talking about, Laura? What's excellent? Let us know what's excellent. Okay, so my mom filed asylum, but it's pending. So can I travel to PR with real ID? So good question. So David on YouTube asks that the question is, if you've got an asylum case pending, whether you are the actual applicant or maybe you're a dependent in the case of your spouse or your parents, you're pending, right? During that time when you're waiting for your asylum interview, can you travel around the United States? Can you travel outside of the United States? Can you travel to Puerto Rico, for example? I think it's best to stay in the contiguous 48 U.S. states. By that, I mean the United States, the parts of them that are all connected. That means I think you should not go to Alaska. I think you should not go to Hawaii. I think you should not go to Puerto Rico. Because in those places, there's a chance that you will have contact with federal immigration agents. And it could be problematic. Even though you got an asylum case pending, you could be detained at least for a little while. You're not going to get deported right away. You don't have to worry about that. But you could be detained for a while. It's not good. Okay. So I think you should not travel outside of the lower 48, as we sometimes call them, while your asylum case is pending. Okay. If you're in immigration court, definitely don't travel outside of the contiguous 48. Absolutely, positively do not do it. Okay. Even if you have an advanced parole document. Okay. The Champa on YouTube says, Brian, I'm applying for asylum in one state. Can I apply for a driver's license in another state? Thanks for that question. So the question is, can you apply for a driver's license in a state other than the state in which your asylum case is pending? Well, every state has different rules, right, for what you have to show to get a driver's license. But I'm pretty sure that in all the states, you have to live in that state to get their driver's license. Okay. And, remember that the asylum offices, they all cover multiple states. So if you move to a new state, you need to do a change of address form. You can do the online AR11, but you also need to send a copy of that, a PDF copy of that, the printout, the PDF that's created when you do that. You need to email a copy of that to your asylum office where your case has been pending and tell them that you moved, because incredibly, amazingly, the AR11, the online AR11 system is not connected to the asylum offices. So the asylum offices don't know that you've moved. So you send this to them. And then if you have moved into the jurisdiction of a different asylum office, they're going to transfer your case to that new asylum office. Okay. So that's how it works. But the way that you asked the question made me think that maybe you either don't live in the state in which you're trying to get a license, which would not be good. You don't want to lie to that state about where you live. Or you haven't told the asylum office about your move. Maybe I'm wrong, but I want you to know that you do need to inform the asylum office of your move. Okay. But if you do that, the mere fact that you are getting a driver's license in a new state will not negatively affect your asylum case. Okay. Yeah, it won't affect it. Kay says, can your asylum be denied after getting your work permit? I had a question like this. I saw a question like this somewhere else today that was also can you still be deported after getting a work permit? So here's the question. Can your asylum case be denied, and could you even be deported after you've already gotten your work permit that's based on your pending asylum case? And the answer is, well, yeah, you can definitely lose your asylum case and be deported, even though you've gotten a work permit. The work permit doesn't give you any kind of status. It doesn't give you any kind of protection. It just allows you to work legally, okay? And it serves as like a valid government issued identification, which is convenient for your life. But it does not protect you. So yeah, you can still lose your asylum case and you can still be deported, even though you have been given this work permit at some time that's based on your underlying pending asylum case. So that's how that works. Listen, the best way to contact us really is go to winasylum.com. That's winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals so that we can see what's going on, listen to you tell your story, and see if we think we can help you. And if we think we can help you, we're going to tell you how. We're going to tell you the concrete steps that we're going to take to give you the best possible chance to secure your future in America through asylum. By the way, for those who joined recently, I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. My law firm is based in Houston, Texas. But listen, we help people all over the country. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what state you live in. As long as you're in the United States, we help people all over the United States. We can't help you if you're not in the United States. All right. We don't do consultations with people who are not in the United States. We want to wait until you're here in the United States to talk with you about your situation. But if you're here, doesn't matter where you are in the United States, we're ready to talk with you and see if we can help you. All right. Oh, Burkina Faso. Agadalrog says, I'm from Burkina Faso. Where? Ouagadougou? I'm probably the only American that you've ever heard say that word, aren't I? I've never been there, but I used to be a diplomat. So before I was an asylum lawyer, you may know that I was an asylum officer with the U.S. government. But before that, I was a diplomat. And so I have friends who have worked at the U.S. Embassy in Ouagadougou and pretty much every embassy in the world. So I've heard about this country, about your country, and a lot of other ones that oftentimes people who come to us for asylum, when they're very surprised when I know the name of their capital and I know about their countries. You know, it's either because we've helped people in their asylum case from those countries, or back when I was a diplomat, I was exposed to this stuff. And I just I'm a news junkie. I love reading about the world and news developments in the world. So I love learning about things like that. Thanks, Balrubra. Okay. What was, I lost the question. I got excited about seeing Burkina Faso. After apply for a green card, how long do you have to wait to get the green card based on asylum? So listen, the question is, how long does it take to get your green card after you have won asylum? So listen, you can't get the green card until you have been in the United States for 1 year after your grant of asylum. At that stage, you're eligible to get it. You can actually apply for it. You can send in the application before you reach that 1 year mark. You can actually apply for it anytime after you win asylum. But USCIS can't actually approve it until you hit that 1 year mark. But there's also a processing time. It takes a while. I don't remember what it was last time I looked. I mean, it was like, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years or something last time I looked almost to get that approved, unfortunately. So you can Google this. You can just Google USCIS processing times. And then on the processing time page, go to form I-485. That's the green card application form, right? And then you have to select what it's based on. And one of the categories, one of the options in the dropdown is asylum pending for more than 1 year. Click that one, and that will show you the approximate wait time for USCIS to actually pick up and look at and make a decision on your green card application based on asylee status. All right. Listen, if you want to talk with us, give us a call so we can see what's going on and tell you if we think we can help you. The number is 713-909-0401. We're offering free consultations now. I used to charge for these. It was almost $200. But at least right now, at this moment that I'm doing this live show, we are offering free consultations. So now is the time to take advantage of this. Call us at 713-909-0401 to schedule an asylum strategy session today with one of our asylum professionals, okay? All right. Yeah. Nice. Green card. So there's a question on TikTok. Alamgir says, says, my friend won asylum in 2019. He got his green card in 2022. So my question is, when can he apply for citizenship? So thank you. The question is, when can you apply for The question is, when can you apply for your U.S. citizenship after having gotten your green card based on asylee status? So you want asylum, then you got your permanent residency, right? Your green card, thanks to your asylee status. The question is, how long is it going to take you to get to that next step? How long until you're eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship? And the answer is 4 years after you get your green card, okay? And it actually is 4 years from the time that your green card is approved. It's not 4 years from the time that you apply for your green card, but rather 4 years from the time that your green card is approved. At that 4-year mark, then you can apply for U.S. citizenship. But remember, there's also a wait time, processing time for the government to adjudicate, to decide that application, the N400, the N400 form. So it's going to be a while, but that's how it works. All right. Biro says, St. Clair says, hello, everyone. Hey, good to see you, Biro. I'm seeking asylum in the UK. Can I still benefit from your clips? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think if we get people from all over the world in various countries that are seeking asylum, we get lots in the UK, lots in Germany, in France that are seeking asylum, and they're like, oh, Brian, can you help me? No, I can't help you. Like, I don't practice law in those countries. I don't know their laws. But I can tell you that they're probably pretty similar to ours. Not the same. They're not the same, but they're pretty similar because pretty much every country's asylum laws are based off of the same thing. They're based off of this one international convention that we're all party to, and it kind of sets the main baseline of the standards such that most asylum laws are fairly similar, but there's going to be some important differences too. So yes, watching my videos on YouTube will probably be beneficial to you, but it's not a replacement for getting a lawyer in the UK or Germany or wherever you are. I do recommend that you get an asylum lawyer there. Okay. But yeah, I think it can only help to check out our videos. Oh, Eddie says green card after asylum processing is 32 months, 2 years. Oh, 8 months. Yeah, that's a long time, man. That's rough. Yeah. Basit says, I went for my individual hearing and the judge said that I'm credible, but the government prosecutor raised an objection based on the 1 year filing deadline. That 1 year has passed. So what happened, Basit? Did you get a removal order? Did they give you did they deny your case and order you deported? If so, you need to, if you want to keep fighting your case, you should appeal. So the question here is, what happens when you get a deportation order? If the immigration judge does not agree to give you asylum and instead they say, sorry, I'm doing a deportation order, what happens next? Well, if you want to keep fighting your case, you have to appeal. You only have 30 days, 30 days to file this appeal with this entity called the Board of Immigration Appeals, okay? It's super important that you do this on time. If you do it late, you could actually be deported. You could be even be detained and forcibly deported, okay? So if you want to fight your case, you've got to appeal timely. This is complicated. The BIA appeal is not really something that people can manage, in my opinion, even halfway well without a lawyer, okay? It's very technical stuff. It's not like you're just trying to sort of explain your case again or trying to tell the judge, like, listen, tell the board that, oh, the judge in my case just sort of wasn't fair. No, you have to actually convince this Board of Immigration Appeals that the judge made legal errors, that under the law they messed up. And so it takes significant legal research and legal analysis and arguing about legal things to win your Board of Immigration Appeals. So I really suggest that you talk to an asylum lawyer right away. That 30 days is going to fly by. Okay. Do it now. Okay. DeChampa says, my wife is in a PhD program, and I'm including my wife in my asylum application. If my application is rejected, is there any effects to my wife's program? No. I assume she had, let me rephrase that. Does she have legal immigration status? Is she possibly on an F1 or was she able to get into the program thanks to the work permit that she has based on your pending asylum case? The question is, does she have some kind of legal status? If so, and she still has that status at the time you get your negative asylum decision, then your negative asylum decision will not affect her program. It won't affect her. She won't get put in deportation proceedings. However, If you get a negative decision, at that moment, she does not have legal status, then the government will also put her in deportation proceedings. I don't think that will affect her PhD program, but she'll be in deportation proceedings. That's a question for the program, right? For the school's international office as to whether being in deportation proceedings affects your ability to continue with the PhD. I doubt it does. I doubt it, but it's not really a lawyer question. It's not really an immigration lawyer question. That's just a straight up school question. Okay. So yeah, I hope that helps, but listen, call us if you want to talk about this in detail. Thank you for the question. Can you add a relative to an asylum case if the relatives came in through the humanitarian parole? Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Good question. So the question is, if you have a relative that came to the United States through the formal humanitarian parole program, there's this program that allows people from certain countries to come on an airplane or to the border with basically permission to come into the country. They get this permission ahead of time, okay? And it's only for certain countries. And the question here is, if someone enters through that, can they then be added to your asylum case? Like, let's say your spouse or your child who is under age 21 and not married, if they came through this parole program, can you now add them to your asylum case? The answer is yes. Yeah, you can add anyone. It doesn't matter how they came here. It doesn't matter if they came with a visa, through one of this formal parole program, through CBP-1, without a visa, it doesn't matter how they came. You can add them unless they are in deportation proceedings and you are not, or unless you are in deportation proceedings and they are not. That gets a little bit tricky, but yeah, that's how it works. All right. That's it for today. Thank you for being with me. Listen, just last thing is go to winasylum.com. That's the easiest, quickest way to schedule an asylum strategy session with us so that you can talk with one of our asylum professionals about your situation. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what's going on. I want to tell you whether I think we can help you. And if so, I'm going to tell you how we're going to help you. Okay. And we'll come up with a plan to give you the best possible chance to win your asylum case. All right. Again, I'm Brian Manning. It's a pleasure to support all of you in your asylum journey. So until next time, thanks. See you guys later. Bye on TikTok, later, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Bye guys.